Our region's business is sponsored by PNC for the achiever in you. Welcome to Our Region's Business with your host, Bill Flanagan.
Today on Our Region's Business, a taste of Italian in downtown Pittsburgh, the latest strategy to create more of a neighborhood feel. But first, Pennsylvania's big step forward toward getting rising public employee pension costs under control. The legislature passed and the governor signed bipartisan legislation to create pension plans for new hires that more closely mirror those available in the private sector. We have reaction from both sides of the aisle. In a few minutes, we'll hear from Speaker of the House, Mike Turzai. But first, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf joins us from the Capitol in Harrisburg. Welcome. It's good to talk with you, Governor.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you, Bill.
Yeah, and I guess congratulations are in order. This was a long-fought and hard-fought milestone for the Commonwealth, was it not?
It was. Senate Bill 1, the pension reform, I think the Pew characterized it as one of the most remarkable things, significant things to happen, if not the most significant thing to happen in any state in the United States in recent memory. It was a big deal, and if you looked at the people who were there for the signing, it was everybody from the Chamber of Commerce. In fact, the Allegheny Conference had a big role to play in this, as well as members of the employee unions here in Harrisburg. So it was a big deal in that it was fair to both the taxpayer and to the employees, and it really shifts the risk in ways that the private sector has been doing for some time. But it was a big deal. It was a wonderful win, I think, for Pennsylvania.
As you may be aware, the Allegheny Conference co-produces this program along with WPXI, and I know this is an issue the conference has been working on for over the 15 years that I've been associated with them. So it has been a long time coming. Why was this so important to get this done? What does it really mean to the Commonwealth and to the taxpayers?
Well, there are a number of things. First of all, the taxpayers, I think, benefit from this, first of all, because there's a shift of risk. This is what the private sector has been doing. I think it's one of the reasons the Allegheny Conference and other private sector organizations have been pushing for it. It shifts risk from the employer, in this case the taxpayers and citizens of Pennsylvania. It shifts the risk so that they're not on the hook for changes they have no control over in interest rates, in the economic ups and downs. And so this is an important thing for them. Second, it's fair to employees. It preserves the defined benefit pension for existing employees. It gives employees moving forward a defined contribution option, 401k style that the private sector has adopted. And so it's fair to employees. That's important to taxpayers of Pennsylvania because it means that we're going to continue to be able to attract good people to work for all of us here in Pennsylvania. It also focuses on reducing management fees. We're looking at, over the next 30 years, $3 billion in savings in the management fees, so that again, the taxpayers of Pennsylvania, the schools of Pennsylvania will benefit from this rather than Wall Street money managers. So there's a lot of reasons why the taxpayers of Pennsylvania should be happy about this. The thing that is really unusual is, and I think, again, the citizens of Pennsylvania should take great pride in this, their representatives here in Harrisburg actually did some selfless things here. I think Senator Jake Corman said it best. He said, you know, the people who were standing behind us as I signed the bill weren't there when the bills weren't paid over the decades that led up to the pension crisis that we have here. A lot of big unfunded liability. And most of them won't be here when the benefit of this really hits, as the defined benefit beneficiaries finally move off the system. But they actually got to work and produce this reform. It's something that politicians don't do often, and I think Pennsylvanians should take great pride in the work that their representatives did here in Harrisburg.
Well, at the end of the day, isn't that what leadership is all about? I mean, at some point, you just have to suck it up and do what has to be done.
That's right. That's what it's supposed to be about. But I think it's instructive that very few states have done what Pennsylvania has done here.
Yeah, and I was looking at the Pew analysis, and it really was striking. It was just in April, and they said that only 4 states had pension systems in worse shape than Pennsylvania's. But as a result of the legislation, Pennsylvania is now going to move into the top half in terms of the adequacy of pension contributions. So this does seem to be a big leap for Pennsylvania.
It is, and when you take it in combination with the Act 120 of 2010, which said that Pennsylvania from that point on will pay its bill, you take these two things together, that we're going to be paying our bills moving forward, and that we have this reform, this shift of risk. The combination of those two things is very powerful and puts Pennsylvania on a real sustainable track to a very good outcome.
You talked a little bit about the leadership and the bipartisanship in the case of this particular bill. It seems to be a tougher and tougher thing to achieve these days in the federal government and even here in the Commonwealth. So what do you think made the difference for you to be able to get together with the Republican leadership as well as the Democratic leadership and really make something happen?
Well, I think there are a lot of good people here in Harrisburg, but I said this at the signing. I said, you know, we are different than Washington. Here in Harrisburg, we actually do work together, and this isn't the first example of this. I mean, you go back to last year, in our divided government here in Harrisburg, we got a number of very important bills passed, including the legalization of medical marijuana, increased funding, bipartisan support for increased funding for addressing the opioid epidemic. We've increased funding for education. We have reformed the liquor system for the first time since Prohibition. I mean, Republican and Democratic governors have been talking about that for decades. We got it done. So this isn't the first example, I think, of people reaching across the aisle and getting things done. That's not the first example of I think, real leadership, and it's I think, something that, again, we Pennsylvanians ought to be proud of. Harrisburg is not behaving in a dysfunctional way the way Washington is. I think we can get things done here in a bipartisan way.
All right, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Well, next up, the view from the other side of the aisle. Speaker of the House Mike Turzai will be here when Our Region's Business returns. Stay with us.